Hi, welcome to Robulele, and in this series of videos I'm going to be looking at focusing on several different skills that you can add to your ukulele playing to hopefully widen your scope a little. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to look at the set list that I would play each week at a particular ukulele club that I go to, and think about picking out some of those songs and some particular techniques that I use within those songs. So I'm going to put the set list up for you to have a look at. So the club I go to, we've got about 250 songs in the database. Then once a week someone volunteers to go through that list of songs, bring out a list of about 20, and then that's our set list for the couple of hours that we meet each week. Obviously the songs don't take a couple of hours to play because there's a liquid refreshment break in between time. And obviously the second half is not quite as good as the first half. Anyway, that aside, I thought I'd have a look at the list, try and pick out a few songs that have got particular elements in there that I think would be of interest. So let's get cracking. First one on the list, I'm actually going to pick the first song. Yeah, those eagle-eyed people, by the way, will notice it's all in alphabetical order because the database is alphabetical order and people tend to pick them in alphabetical order. So let's go and look at the first one, which is the song All My Loving by the Beatles, played in the key of C, although the Beatles actually played that in F sharp because that's quite a difficult key to navigate on the ukulele. So that one kind of goes, close your eyes and I'll kiss you, tomorrow I'll miss you, remember I'll always be true. So hopefully you're familiar with that song. But the bit I want to focus on is kind of the chorus, which is all my loving I will give to you. Now on the original, George Harrison actually kind of stabs those chords. It kind of all my loving, boom bam boom bam boom bam boom bam boom boom bam boom bam. And that gives it a kind of very unique kind of sound. And, I try and see if I can emulate that on a ukulele. Now, the problem with playing it that particular way is we're using a lot of open chords we get. And it's kind of difficult to get that kind of stab effect that I really want. So this tip is we're going to change the way we play the chords. And we're going to use a different inversion of the chords. So the same chords, but played in a different part of the fretboard. So the A minor, which normally we play down there, we're going to play here. I'm going to put the chord sheet up here so you can kind of study that. Then the C augmented that we play here, we're going to play there in the kind of same area, we're playing the A minor. And then the C major, we're going to play here. So they're all quite close together. So we're going to go. And that gives us two things. First of all, it gives us the chromatic rundown that is actually in that riff. So go da, 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 which you don't hear as well on this. Kind of goes up rather than down. And then kind of in the middle again rather than down. Where really what we're really after is that effect. The other thing it gives us is the ability to dampen the strings a little to give us that, which again we can't really do with the open strings. So have a look at the chords as I've put them up there and see if you can play it that way. Try and not play the first string if you can. You might find it a little awkward at first where you have to change that A minor into that C augmented, and then you have to kind of change position again for the C. What's interesting actually is if you look at the original key, the Beatles play it in the F sharp. At that point the chords are C sharp minor, C augmented again, and E major. So you get the rundown, and as I'm using a low G, you can really hear it. So it makes perfect sense, and I think possibly when Paul McCartney wrote that, probably that bit, I've got a feeling he might have written that on piano, so you've got that C minor, C sharp minor chord, and then move your finger or thumb down on the bass note, and then down again, so you kind of get that chromatic falling sound, which is pretty synonymous with quite a few Beatles songs have been written by Paul McCartney, so have a listen to that. So hopefully you've enjoyed that one little tip. And hopefully introduce you to different chord inversions and also ways of dampening the strings. So we'll move on to another one now. Just have a look down my list, and not much further on there's the song Bye Bye Love by the Everly Brothers, and pretty simple song. So bye bye love, bye bye happiness. So most of you are probably familiar with that song, but in that song is they sing bye bye love, ba bam bam. There's kind of an accent then on the chord. So, and of course we could play it in a normal way. We could play bye bye love, bye bye happy. Do it that way, and that works absolutely fine. But going on from the subject of kind of different chord inversions, I'm going to, rather than play that G, I'm going to play G right up the fretboard on the 7th fret, and we're going to use strings 2, 3 and 4. We're going to try and ignore 1 if we can, try and dampen that, and we're going to play this. And the reason that I've changed the inversion there is because I can use this kind of slur or slide out of the chord. So, bye bye love, bye bye happy. And it just gives it a bit more of effect, and you can be quite a lot more aggressive on that chord as well. Again, we're holding all the strings down so we can kind of control, the sustain and give it a dampened sound. And we can also slide up as well. So you can a lot more effect you can do on that. I say try not to play that first string because that's not within the notes of the G major chord. You'd end up with a G major 7, I guess, wouldn't you there? Yeah, you'd end up with G major 7. So try and play it that way if you can. And again, you can kind of use that in effect in other songs as well. Not only have we got G there, if you work it out, if you go down a couple of frets, I've got F there and so on. So there's other inversions you can play by using that particular skill. So hopefully that will be useful to you. Let's have a bit look down our list. A bit further down, we've got the song Dream Lover. Every night I hope and pray, dream lover will come my way. It's a nice kind of simple, easygoing ukulele play along, C, A minor, F, G and so on. I like to try and play a little bit of arpeggio in that, so I play. And so on. And the way I do that is I'm focusing on really just using my thumb. So although you see my hand going up and down across the board, so it's all thumb. There's no fingers at all that I'm being used. So it's thumb on the way down to try and pull on each note, and then thumb, particularly the nail of the thumb, to flick the notes back up. Sounds better on a low G ukulele, of course, because you get that kind of ascending series of notes. And then, as I say, back up with the thumb over there. And if you can keep it going all the way through. and so on. That's probably one of the most difficult techniques, I would say, that's certainly in this particular lesson, and takes a little bit of getting used to. But you know, I don't just use it in that particular song. There's other ones I use it in as well, and I find that quite an enjoyable, quite a testing and challenging technique to play on the ukulele. Hope you enjoyed it. By the way, if you're getting something out of this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could like my video down below. That would be brilliant. And even better if you could subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate that. So please, if you can, take a second and subscribe. I'd really like that. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. This is a song, another mid-60s style song, as you'll often find if you go to a ukulele group. A lot of the songs are kind of in that kind of 50s, 60s, maybe 70s genre of music. This is a hit by a band called the Turtles, and it's called Happy Together. Imagine me and you, I do, da, 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 da. So it's that kind of vocal group, kind of rivals, I guess, to the Mamas and Papas in their kind of boy-girl kind of vocal harmonies going on. And I quite enjoy this one because it just adds a slightly different technique just at that beginning, which is and all I'm doing actually is I'm playing the first chord, which is D minor, and I'm just then lifting up the fingers that are on the third and the fourth string and back again. I'm just waving it in, so it's going in and out of phase, kind of. Imagine me and you, I do, I think about it every day, and so on. Pardon me not remembering all the lyrics, haven't got it in front of me. But that's just another technique that you can use, not just on that particular chord, but it works really well on the D minor. And I just think it works well in that particular song, gives it that kind of slight difference. Because I said one of the problems with ukulele is, if everyone just goes along and just kind of strums a down, up rhythm, it all starts sounding a little bit samey. So it's my quest to put in a little bit of extra pieces just to make things a bit more interesting, even if it only amuses myself. And that's a great thing about music. If it makes you feel great, then it's done its job, hasn't it? Okay, let's move on. I've got a couple more songs to go. Right down the list, I got the song Tequila Sunrise, the hit by the Eagles. By the way, if you've got any comments about any of the ones I'm doing or any of the ones that are in the list that I haven't covered, just please add them in the comments. I can always come back. If you said, I'm really particularly interested in, Hold Back the River, for instance, which is a great song, I'd be quite happy to kind of cover that in, an individual video, or add it into another one of my kind of noodling style videos. Oh, noodling, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned that. So noodle is a kind of a term that musicians tend to use, particularly guitar players, but it's also kind of equates over to ukulele. It's when people are just kind of messing around, not playing a tune in particular, just kind of messing around, just getting used to a fingerboard, to noodling. So I might refer to that, through the videos that these are my kind of noodle videos. So bear with me on that. So back to the song. Let's go and look at Tequila Sunrise by the Eagles. And the reason I picked this one out is just again a chord variation technique. So I'll just quickly show you that. So it goes. Adds a kind of a nice variation to it. There's two ways you can play G6. So you can start with a G, and then you can take your second finger off, which for those who know their way around chords also becomes the E major 7. I think it is the E major 7, yeah. But the way I tend to play that, I prefer to play it, is again, start with the G chord, use your little finger and come over onto the third string 4th fret. So So it kind of makes an E minor shape and back off. And I think that kind of sounds better because you've got the C string on the ukulele it's lower. If you're using a high G, it's your lowest string anyway. So it kind of gives that nice kind of warmth bass note to it. And so on. So again, that's just a kind of another little tip. You can not only use that on Tequila Sunrise, of course, if you're playing a song and there's a lot of G and you're just looking for some type of variation, you could see if that kind of G6 would work for you. Okay, so last one, just to kind of wrap things up, we'll look at the song These Boots Are Made for Walking, which was a hit for Nancy Sinatra in the 60s. And it's got this intro piece, which is kind of that double bass. So bum 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 bum. We're going to play it in A. So generally you'd start on your 9th fret on the 3rd string and you play. And so on into the song. That's a little bit boring, it's just one note. So what I tend to do, I'll also add in the 2nd string and then I kind of pluck with my thumb and finger. You keep saying you got something for me, and so on. It just adds just a little bit more interest. There's a couple in there where they jar a little, but I think that's okay. Just adds just a little bit more interest rather than that just single note, because you know ukulele needs a bit of support, and sometimes when you're just kind of playing single notes it can be a little bit thin. So I just think that adds a bit more interest to the sound. So that's it for this week. As I say, if you've got any comments that you'd like to add below, if you'd like me to cover a song in a bit more detail, or pick one of the songs from that particular set list that I haven't covered in this particular video, just please let me know. I'm going to add one of these once a week. Each time I get a new set list from the group, I'll go through and pick through a few of the songs and just see if I can add in any extra techniques for you. So in between time, hope you really enjoyed the video, and please enjoy the ukulele.